What's up guys, welcome back to the PDGA channel. Today we're at Talford's Disc Golf Course and we're going to be talking about how to get more distance just by picking a better disc. There's a lot that goes into distance, and I think one of the biggest things is shot types, and I think there's 5 different shot types. So the 5 shots in order of least distance to most distance is there's going to be the meat hook, and that's basically it's going to hyzer straight out of the hand. Your next shot is going to be the straight to hyzer shot, which is it gets some distance and then it hyzers out at the end. There's the flex shot, so that's an overstable disc that you're putting on anhyzer, so it's going right and then it's fighting out of it because it's stability. Then there's going to be the flip up, which is where you're releasing it on hyzer. It's understable, so it flips up, even gets some churn, and then comes out of it. And then lastly, there's just the pure sky anhyzer shot where it is churning the entire time. That last shot does get the most distance, but that's not what I want to focus on because it's not a golf shot. It's not a shot you're going to be using in round very much, if at all. So really the golf shot, the shot you're going to be using the most in round that's going to get you the most distance is the hyzer flip. So first we need to find a disc that you can hyzer flip, get some churn out of, and then come back. So really what it comes down to is finding a disc that's going to churn for you an appropriate amount. I have discs in my bag that churn too much when I put it on full power. And then I've discs in my bag that won't churn at all when I absolutely rip them all out. And so finding a disc that meets right in the middle, for me that's typically my Grace. It churns a great amount when I put it on like 90% power, so it will do a hyzer flip for me. But that disc is going to be different for everyone. One way to figure that out is the rule of 35. So what the rule of 35 is basically you take your consistent driving distance. So for me, that's probably like 420, 430 consistently. And then you divide it by 35, so that's about 12. And that's kind of the speed of disc that you can get the accurate flight numbers out of. But let's say you throw like 300 feet. 300 divided by 35 is 8.5, so you're gonna be throwing anywhere from an 8-speed to a 9-speed driver to get, the actual potential of the disc, right? Because you have to throw the disc the speed that it is to actually get the accurate flight of it. But that doesn't mean that's the most you can throw. Some people might say that, but I disagree. I think you can throw a faster disc. You just need to find one with a little extra churn to compensate for your lower arm speed. I think a good example of this is forehands. I don't throw my forehand nearly as far as I throw my backhand, but a lot of times I throw the same discs that I'd be using backhand for maximum distance with my forehand. And I'm not gonna be getting the same flight out of it with my forehand because it's a lower speed. And so if I really wanted to maximize my forehand distance shot, I would need to be throwing a different disc with more churn or a different speed to be able to get that same flip up, churn, and fade out that I'm getting with my backhand with those discs. So by using this rule of 35, you're kind of able to figure out what disc you're going to be able to get the churn of the flight numbers on it, right? So because I can throw far enough, I know on a 12-speed disc, I'm going to be able to get the accurate flight numbers of it. If it says it's 1 churn, it should churn about 1 for me. Except that manufacturers often have inconsistent flight numbers, which is a whole different can of worms, but for the most part, this rule of 35 is going to be really helpful to know if you're going to be able to achieve the flight numbers on the disc. Sweet. So the rule of 35 is a great starting point to be able to figure out what is the right speed for me, or do I need a little extra turn at these higher speed discs if I don't have the arm to quite get that speed in my throw. But beyond that, the disc golf community is great at being helpful. So if you find someone in your community who maybe was throwing the distance that you are throwing a little bit ago, you can talk to them about what disc might be a good fit for you to make that jump to the next level. Also, if you go to your local pro shop, they are super helpful and they would love to help you figure out what disc would be great for you. All right guys, a couple of last tips. I want to give some suggestions for different throwing ranges to be able to help you be able to throw better. So for one example, my wife just started playing disc golf, literally just getting into it. The ultra beginner, you're going to want to get a lightweight disc, you're going to want to get a slower disc that has some churn. What I got for her was a 143 gram DX Leopard 3, right? Great option for a true beginner. If you're throwing somewhere between 200 to 250, that's a great option for you. If you're getting up to maybe that 300 range, 250 to 300, then you're going to want to be throwing something maybe a little bit faster. One option might be a Mamba. It has a lot of speed. That's something that my dad throws, although I think he can throw something with a little less turn and have more success with it. If you're getting between 300 to 330, that range, I would suggest a Thrasher. That's a 12 speed, but it has enough turn that it should be able to fly really nice for you. If you're going from 330 to 370, that range, I would suggest a Turn. Although a Turn and a Thrasher have similar numbers, I found that the Thrasher is a little more flippy than the Turn, and so that Turn will be a nice bump up once you move up in distance. Beyond that, once you're getting to that 370, 380 to 400 range, I would suggest a Wraith. And if you're over 400, 400 to 470, that range, I would suggest a Grace. I just put a video out about this last week, about how I'm loving the Grace and it's a great distance driver for me. If you're throwing over 480, you probably shouldn't be taking advice from me, but I would either go with a Destroyer or a Nuke. Well, that is it for today. You got to see some pretty mediocre disc golf, but hopefully some helpful tips that's gonna help you find a disc that's going to maximize your arm speed, your throw, so then you can get more distance without having to change anything. If you like this video, please leave a like down below. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, and we will see you next week for the next video.